Shameless. Shameless Tang San, can you be more shameless? Lying on the bed, Su Ran looked at the novel in his hand, reminiscing about the scene depicted in it. Tang San, the protagonist of the Douluo continent, and a character like the Prince of Heaven, was once again fiercely shown by others. Seeing this, Su Ran did not hesitate, directly recharged 1 million starting coins, and rewarded a silver alliance. Unfortunately, even if I read more than 100 copies of the same humanities, I can't do anything. If I can cross the Douluo continent and have a good talent, then what can the protagonist do? Alas, it's a pity that I can't do anything. I can only watch Jian Rongxiu and Bibi Dong being bullied by Tang San's apprentices. And there are so many beautiful girls in Douluo continent, Ye Lingling, Shui Binger, Swu, they are still alone. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the qualification to cross the Douluo continent. It is now bound to the mission system, and the system is being bound. Ding! The host can gain rewards by completing the tasks assigned by the system to improve its strength. The soft female voice sounded. Su Ran's eyes suddenly plunged into darkness. In the darkness, Su Ran felt his body lighten up, and the sound of breaking through the air whizzed in his ears, and he seemed to be traveling through time and space now. Could it be? Su Ran's spirit was shocked. Did he pass through? And it's still Douluo mainland? Miss System, what's the matter? Su Ran's eyes lit up, and he suddenly thought that his system was still a young lady, and his voice was very sweet. After system testing, the host's ideas are very consistent with the requirements of this system, so it has the qualifications to become the host of this system. The system explained. It turned out to be like this. Su Ran nodded, somewhat enlightened. But what else can he think of when he crosses the Douluo continent, pretending to force his sister to do Tang San? It seems that Miss System is a bit dissatisfied with Tang San just like him. Miss System, can you go faster? Does the crossing take so long? Are you not? Su Ran couldn't help but urged, he couldn't wait to go to Douluo continent. At this time, Su Ran's eyes were a dark scene. Su Ran suspected that this was the black hole the experts said. After passing through this black hole, he could enter the space belonging to the Douluo continent. Brother host, this system is only a girl, how could it not work? Only boys will not work, men will not work. In the system space that Su Ran can't see, Miss System is wearing a floral dress and sitting in a room. On Zhang Xiang's bed, holding his fragrant cheeks, beautiful eyes looked at Su Ran through the void, and smiled. Su Ran. Miss System, you can't talk nonsense about this. This host is very capable. Su Ran quickly denied that as the host, how could he be weak? If it is too weak, how could he be chosen as a translator? This is blatant slander. Su Ran still has grand goals. If he is too weak, how can he pick up girls in the future? How did I know? I haven't seen it. Miss System said in a seductive tone, with a hint of flattery in her voice. Su Ran couldn't help but develop a bold idea. Miss System should be very beautiful, isn't that okay? This system is just a virtual character, and the host is not allowed to have such bad thoughts. The lady of the system noticed Su Ran's thoughts and said softly. That's natural. The host is so upright and gentle as a gentleman, so how can he have nasty thoughts? Su Ran smiled. No matter how beautiful the Miss System is, she is only a virtual character, but Douluo continent still has countless girl appearances. Beautiful as a flower, all waiting for him to explore. By the way, the system, don't let me pass through as a child. If it becomes like that, it's better to let me die. Su Ran suddenly reminded him that he remembered the same humanities, countless people passing through the past, all to recognize a dad. This is too much. As a translator, he has to recognize a father, a foster father, a teacher, or something before he starts to pretend to be coercive. There is no coercion at all. The most important thing is, if it is a child, or even an embryo, that begins to develop from a fertilized egg. What's the point? Then how does he tease his sister? Is it the same as playing with children? Big Brother host is really that kind of person, but if Brother host doesn't follow the timeline, it will be very troublesome. If Brother host follows the plot, he might be able to kill Tang San as the protagonist. The system reminded Tao. It doesn't matter. If there is a systemic lady, I won't be too miserable, right? I only need to be 12 or 3 years old to travel through the past without father or mother. Also, remember that the timeline must be in Tang San. Before they go to Shrek Academy. Su Ran reminded. The timeline of Shrek Academy is very important. Ding, arranging identity for the host. Ding, congratulations to the host for becoming a collateral child of the Zhu family of the Star Luo Empire. He has just turned 12 years old this year, and his parents have died. Ding, the genius standard of a 12-year-old boy in the Douluo continent has been detected, and the host's current cultivation level is level 31. Congratulations to the host for getting the novice gift package. Do you want to open it? The system continued. Open it. Su Ran said directly. Ding, congratulations to the host for acquiring the system equipped with martial soul, killing god sword. The exquisite sword left over from ancient times is extremely powerful and will have a 100% damage bonus to the Ares residents. Ding, congratulations to the host for acquiring the first soul ability in a century, Blood Kill. Blood Kill, with a powerful killing aura, the user becomes a killer, wielding a sword with a strong blood-killing aura, with terrifying lethality. Ding, congratulations to the host for acquiring the second soul ability of 100 years, UU reading www.yunja.com Xing Ian. Ding, congratulations to the host for acquiring the third soul skill in the Millennium, and Sword Energy. Along with the sound of the system, bursts of mysterious information came into Su Ran's mind. The Star Luo Empire, the Zhu family, both parents have died, and the sword is killed. Su Ran smiled, he did not expect that he started like this. The Star Luo Empire is based on the Dai family and the Zhu family. He is now a disciple of the Zhu family, which is not bad. And this martial soul. Su Ran couldn't help but was stunned when he looked at the long sword that suddenly appeared in his hand. The Excalibur sword is 3 feet long, and the outer scabbard is densely covered with mysterious runes that Su Ran can't understand. Withdrawing the long sword, Su Ran's spirits were shocked by a burst of cold light. All information about this sword passed into Su Ran's forehead. Vaguely, Su Ran seemed to see a person in a black robe, holding the Excalibur sword, and several people fell every time he swung the sword. Those people have 10 spirit rings, and they are all divine residences, but their lives seem to be so fragile under the sword of deity killing, and they are vulnerable to a single blow. After a long time, Su Ran walked out of the memory image. He was holding this black and ink god-killing sword and couldn't help but feel a little excited. His palm was attached to the sword, and the sword body roared, as if he was acknowledging the master. Su Ran retracted the Excalibur sword into the scabbard, retracted his mind, and then walked out. Divine Killing Sword is not only his martial soul, but also a divine weapon. Even if he doesn't release his martial soul, he can still hold it in his hand at all times. The sword is different from other Wuhan. As a swordsman, the sword never leaves the body. Ding, the task is released. Please show the host at the Zhu family meeting 3 days later, and let the head of the Zhu family give a marriage and become Zhu Zuking's fiancé. Task reward, 100 skill points. Note, skill points can be used to upgrade the spirit ring H, and can also be used for lottery. Zhu Zuking is only slightly curious. In Zhu's family and even in Xingluo City, many people admire her, but when they knew her identity, they stayed far away from her, and they didn't even dare to talk to her more. They fear that they will be misunderstood by Davis and the people around him, and then get into trouble. The same is true in Zhu's house, not many people dare to walk too close to her. Su Ran can take the initiative to find her, she will be a little curious. Zhu Zuqing walked on the square and sat down in a quiet place, with his round legs bent and his leather pants tighter. Her beautiful eyes looked forward, and there was a trace of loneliness on her beautiful face. Many Zhu family disciples are discussing with each other on the square. The soul master can only become stronger in battle. However, she is Zhu Zuqing, even if she is cultivating, she will only be alone. No one dared to fight against her, they were afraid of causing dissatisfaction with the eldest prince and the eldest lady. The Zhu family and the Dai family have had a rule since ancient times. The two parties marry, the younger generation compete with each other, the best pair of each generation inherits the throne, and the one who fails the competition will be directly given to death. Everyone believed that Davis and Zhu Ziyun would become the future emperor and empress of the Douluo Empire. As their competitors, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zuqing, naturally they would not be treated. Su Ran looked at the girl ahead and couldn't help feeling a little distressed. He remembered that in the original book, Zhu Zuqing was always withdrawn and not talkative. Perhaps her character was developed in such a place. It's not that she doesn't want to be happy like Xiaowu and Ning Rongrong. However, she didn't even have anyone who dared to talk to her in Zhu's house. Can I sit here? Su Ran walked to Zhu Zuqing's side. Yes. Zhu Zuqing was taken aback. Su Ran couldn't help being a little surprised when he saw Su Ran, nodded and then stopped talking. Su Ran did not speak either, sitting quietly beside Zhu Zuqing, the breeze blowing, the unique fragrance of Zhu Zuqing was blown into the nasal cavity. He couldn't help but look at the stunning girl next to him. Zhu Zuqing has a very good figure. Even if he is still a girl, he is no less than an adult girl. Aren't you afraid of me? You dare to be so close to me? Zhu Zuqing asked curiously. Su Ran knows her identity and dared to walk with her, isn't he afraid of being scolded by her sister? And Davis's people may also be shot at him. Don't be afraid, the second lady is so beautiful, how many people want to get closer to the second lady? What are you afraid of? Su Ran said, sniffing Zhu Zuqing's unique fragrance, revealing a bright smile. You obviously know that I don't mean that. If my sister and the prince know that you are so close to me, you will be affected. There are many people who may also attack you. Zhu Zuqing said, pretty face. There was a blush on it, and there was also some joy in my heart. Girls like to be praised for being beautiful, and she is no exception. Only in Zhu's family, because of her identity, no one dared to say such a thing. They just looked at her with lustful eyes and she felt disgusted. I am not afraid, no matter how great the prince is, I am not afraid. Su Ran shook his head. When his strength is revealed, Davis will even win him over. If he and Zhu Zuqing were together, it would even make Dai Muabai's reputation plummet, and Davis would only be happy as a gainer. Davis wanted to inherit the throne, so naturally he had to target Dai Muabai. But when he wanted to catch Zhu Zuqing, Dai Muabai was the biggest obstacle. For the time being, he and Davis have a common enemy, Dai Muabai. So for the time being, he will get along with Davis. But that may not be the case afterwards. After all, Zhu Ziyun is also very beautiful, with a slender figure, and the figure is more plump than Zuqing. And he also knew that Zhu Ziyun was not really trying to isolate Zhu Zuqing. She did this because she wanted to protect Zhu Zuqing. She hoped that Zhu Zuqing could retreat and leave the Douluo Empire voluntarily. In this way, even if Davis becomes the throne in the future, he won't take action against her. What are you thinking about? Are you scared? Zhu Zuqing asked suspiciously. If ordinary people hear the name of the eldest prince, they will be directly frightened. Su Ran may be the same. I didn't think about anything. Second lady, didn't you come to the square to practice? I can accompany you to learn and practice combat. Su Ran said. You accompany me to practice? I am very strong, are you sure? What is your cultivation level? Zhu Zuqing asked, Su Ran is just a disciple of the Zhu family. Zhu Zuqing can tell from his name, Su Ran his father is a foreigner, so Su Ran might not even inherit the family spirit. How could his strength be very strong? My cultivation base? 31st level Soul Sovereign. Su Ran said. Bringing, how could you be a Soul Lord, even I am only 25th level. Zhu Zuqing didn't believe it. She is already a very powerful genius with the cultivation base of the 25th level Great Spirit Master. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is in Zhu's house. Even if she is her sister, she is not as talented as her. Even if Su Ran is strong, it is impossible to surpass her in talent. Don't worry if you don't believe me. Do you want me to practice with you? If you don't want it, I will leave. Of course, I want to see what your true cultivation level is. Zhu Zuqing said, even she didn't realize that she had always spoken words by Su Ran's side today more than usual. I'm going to shoot. Zhu Zuqing said, her beautiful eyes suddenly became serious. She was standing there, wearing black tight leather pants, and the perfect curve was revealed. The breeze blew, and her long black hair danced with the wind, attracting the attention of many people. Her eyes are full of seriousness. No matter what opponent she treats, she will do her best. What's more, she felt that Su Ran's strength should not be too weak, at least it was also the cultivation base of a great spirit master. Wuhan quietly released, and a huge black cat shadow appeared behind her. On her long black hair, a pair of soft and cute black cat ears grew out, and an illusory black cat tail appeared behind her hips. Below her, 2 yellow spirit rings were surging, and a dark energy was vented. Many disciples of the Zhu family cast their gazes one after another, looking at this side in amazement. What? Su Ran wants to practice against Zhu Zuqing, is he crazy? Don't he know what the consequences will be if he walks too close to the second lady? Perhaps he just wants to sensationalize and attract the attention of the second lady. Humph, Zhu Zuqing and Dai Mubai have a marriage contract, what else does Su Ran want to do? And he is just a collateral child of the family, even if he gets the attention of the second lady, it is useless. It's your turn. After Zhu Zuqing released the martial soul, the beautiful eyes remained on Su Ran's body. She wants to know what Su Ran's cultivation is. Although she doesn't think Su Ran is a soul venerable, at least he has the cultivation level of a great soul master. Zhu Zuqing has some expectations. She hopes that Su Ran's strength will be stronger, so that it will attract the attention of the family. Otherwise, walking so close to her, he will be targeted sooner or later. Many Zhu family disciples also looked at Su Ran. They wanted to see what Su Ran's cultivation was. If Su Ran's strength is not enough, the Zhu family will have no place for him in the future. How to get a foothold if you are so close to Zhu Zuqing and have no strength? Su Ran lowered his mind and aroused his martial soul. With his current talent, the 12-year-old soul venerable, if he went to the Wuhan Hall, even Bibi Dong would have to personally receive him. In Zhu's family, or even the entire Star Luo Empire, no one is more talented than him. Moreover, with the system, his talent will become stronger in the future. Under everyone's gaze, a black long sword appeared in Su Ran's hand. The sword is 3 feet long and the blade is pure black, but it seems to contain endless mysteries. The moment he held the long sword, Su Ran's temperament changed in vain. His eyes became sharp, as if he was a sword, and his body was even more invincible. Everyone looked at Su Ran in surprise, holding a long sword. Su Ran had a special temperament on his body, which made them feel trembling. Zhu Zuqing also opened her beautiful eyes, staring at Su Ran's figure blankly. What is Su Ran's cultivation? It's obvious now. Those 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit rings appeared on his body. Su Ran, it is the cultivation base of the Soul Sovereign. Many disciples looked at Su Ran, their eyes changed instantly. Although they didn't know Su Ran's age, they could tell that Su Ran was not very old. Su Ran was no more than 15 years old, and possessing the cultivation base of soul venerable at this age indicated that Su Ran was a genius soul master. Such a genius, his future will be a smooth road, his future is unimaginable. If they can hold Su Ran's thigh, they will get a lot of benefits in the future. Many girls looked at Su Ran with tenderness. Many people even winked at Su Ran directly. Such geniuses will have a high status in the family in the future. If they can have a strong relationship with Su Ran, or even become Su Ran's woman, they will definitely be able to fight for decades less. Is it really the soul deity? Zhu Zuqing looked at Su Ran and couldn't help but be surprised. Su Ran gave her a more profound shock, because she observed Su Ran very carefully. Su Ran's age should be similar to her, at most 1 or 2 years older than her. At this age, he can break through the soul deity. Su Ran's talent is even stronger than her. This makes her blush for what she said before. I have said, I am the soul venerable. Even if I can lie to others, I won't lie to you. Su Ran smiled, looking at the self-consciously blushing girl in front of her. Humph! The blush on Zhu Zuqing's face dissipated a bit. Without saying anything, he raised the speed and rushed towards Su Ran directly. As a sensitive attack-type spirit master, her speed increased to the extreme, like a black shadow, attacking Su Ran. Her fingers were bent, and her slender nails gave off a chill. Zhu Zuqing's current 25th level spirit power is not weak among the young generation of Zhu's family. In the eyes of everyone, Zhu Zuqing's speed is not slow. But this speed is extremely slow in Su Ran's eyes. Su Ran stood on the spot, moving his feet slightly to one side of his body, and blocked him with a scabbard. And Zhu Zuqing's sharp claws were just scratched on the pitch-black scabbard. The sound sounded, and Zhu Zuqing's fingertips left 5 white marks on the scabbard. The scabbard naturally does not show any damage. This is the mark left by Zhu Zuqing's nails rubbing on the scabbard. The target of the attack suddenly avoided, Zhu Zuqing's face changed slightly, and he wanted to turn around and continue to attack Su Ran. But in a panic, affected by the inertia of her body, she fell straight forward. Be careful, Su Ran said, reaching out to take Zhu Zuqing into his arms. Across the close-fitting leather jacket, Su Ran could feel the warmth and softness of Zhu Zuqing's body. Zhu Zuqing's figure is very good. His chest is full, but the waist is extremely slender, and it is this that makes Zhu Zuqing's figure look even more irritating and gives a strong visual impact. At this moment, Zhu Zuqing was wearing tight leather pants and was hugged by Su Ran. The two bodies were close to each other, as if they were about to fit together. Countless people around saw this scene, and they were shocked to speak. They were full of envy at this time, and Su Ran was able to hold such a beautiful Zhu Zuqing in his arms. At the same time they couldn't help thinking of that figure, Dai Mubai. It is said that Dai Mubai has escaped to the Heaven Do Empire. What would he feel if he knew that Zhu Zuqing was being held in his arms by another man? Many people think about this and can't help but look forward to it. They had seen Dai Mubai upset for a long time. Dai Zhu's family has been married for generations, which makes many Zhu's family feel a little bit grumbling. The best woman in their Zhu family was married to the Dai family, and none of them stayed. Who is not angry about this kind of thing? As the saying goes, fertile water does not flow into outsiders' fields. From the Zhu family's generation of fertilizer, all the water flowed to the Dai family's fields. 1 year or 2 has been fine. After all these years, these Zhu family disciples have long been upset. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. It's just that they all know the relationship between the Zhu family and the Dai family. They have martial arts fusion skills. Marriage is the best choice, and they don't use marriage as an example. But Dai Mubai's directly aroused their resentment. Dai Mubai was weak and incompetent, without a bit of blood, fearing that he would not be able to compete with Davis, so he ran away quietly, leaving Zhu Zuqing alone in the Star Luo Empire to bear the pressure from the two big families. This is the most disdainful behavior in everyone's mind. No matter whether Dai Mubai is strong or not, they would not care too much. Abandoning their fiancé, cowardly and incompetent, this kind of Bingzhen is what makes them look down the most. Dai Muebai's behavior is destined to be a waste. Countless Zhu family disciples are a little dissatisfied. Why can even such a trash marry a woman as good as their Zhu family? Just because the Dai family is the royal family? Dai Muebai is just a joke. It's far behind Su Ran. How can a trash who abandoned his fiancée escape privately, is worthy of the second lady? But I don't know what Su Ran thinks. I have never heard of this person in the family before, and I don't know if he is really interesting to the second lady. If Su Ran is really interested, it will be fun. One is the strongest genius of the family, and the other is the third prince of the royal family. I don't know what decision the head of the family will make. Countless discussions sounded. If Su Ran could be with Zhu Zuqing, they would not say anything. After all, Su Ran was also a member of the Zhu family anyhow, and there was no problem with internal digestion. It's just that Zhu Zuqing and Su Ran are together. Isn't that third prince of waste, Dai Muebai, green? Zhu Zuqing was held in Su Ran's arms, a blush flashed across his cold face, and he couldn't help but start ramming the deer in his heart. Since childhood, she has not had much contact with boys, let alone being held so intimately. Don't let go. Zhu Zuqing pushed Su Ran's chest forcefully with his hands. Seeing that he couldn't open it, his pretty face became even more red. Hearing the rumors of the people around him, he was so ashamed that he wanted to find a hole to get in. After today, there may be many rumors about her and Su Ran in Zhu's house in the future. Su Ran looked at Zhu's shy and annoyed look, and couldn't help but gently rubbed her slender waist, feeling the soft and faint fragrance, but couldn't bear to let it go. Zuqing's waist is really slender, his figure is perfect, and his cool temperament can make people's hearts feel more turbulent. Is the most important thing, it feels very good. The fragrance on is also very good. It's a pity that he doesn't have that kind of relationship with Zhu Qing, so he can hug her without any scruples until he has chased Zhu Qing. At that time, he could not only hug Zuqing, but after he caught Zuqing, he could do whatever he wanted. Although Zhu Qing looks cold, she has a cold-faced and warm-hearted character. Moreover, she is still a very dedicated person. If she gets her heart, it means she has everything. Be careful next time, if I'm not there, you will fall today. Su Ran showed a gentle smile and loosened Zhu Zuqing's willow waist. You don't seem to have much actual combat experience. In the family, it seems that you have a sparring teacher. Su Ran was puzzled. He could see that Zhu Zuqing's actual combat experience was not sufficient, and even the simplest unloading skills were not perfect. In the original work, Zhu Zuqing also relied on Shrek's continuous training to rise slowly. I have actual combat teachers, but they are very fierce. Zhu Zuqing lowered his head and looked at his beautiful legs, and said in a low voice. She didn't dare to look at Su Ran. Until now she could feel Su Ran's masculine aura still on her body, which made her feel a little hot all over. She lowered her head, her small toes lightly tapped on the ground, a little at a loss. The breeze blew, and her long hair like ink fluttered with the wind. At Zhu's family, she has a special status. Even the teacher who teaches her cultivation will try to show her close relationship with her and keep her distance from Zhu Zuqing. Thinking of this, Su Ran felt a little heartache in her heart. Zhu Zuqing has been silently aggrieved in Zhu's family, and he has seen all this in his eyes. Just now so many people in the square were discussing and practicing, and Zhu Zuqing was just alone. If it hadn't been for him to come, Zhu Zuqing would not know how much grievance he would have to endure. And Dai Muebai was having fun in Shrek Academy at this time, so he just ran away. He even betrayed Zhu Qing and took twin beauties to do that kind of thing. Such a person can even be whitewashed in the end, which is simply a great joke in the world. If history can be written by becoming a strong man, then from now on, let him write this history quickly. In the original work, Zuqing finally accepted everything and was with Dai Muebai. But since he came into this world, he would not allow such a thing to happen. Take Xing, he will guard it in the future. Su Ran stepped forward slowly, looking at the girl in front of him, and wanted to touch Zuking's hair. If I am here in the future, no one will dare to bully you. Su Ran said, with sincerity in his voice. In a few days, he will apply to the Patriarch to abolish the marriage contract between Zhu Zuking and Dai Mubai. The treasure girl can only be owned by Su Ran. Zhu Zuking took a step aside, without letting Su Ran's hand fall on her. Hearing Su Ran's bold words, Zhu Zuking couldn't help feeling a little flustered. Faced with such things, no girl can calm down. Even if she is Zhu Zuking, she is just a normal girl. I will protect myself, don't care about it. Zhu Zuking said, still afraid to look at Su Ran, but his voice was softer. I already have a fiancé, and it is better for us to go a little further in the future. Zhu Zuking retracted Wuhan, and my soul looked into the distance. There was also a moment of unwillingness in her heart. Why did she have a marriage contract with someone since she was born? Other girls can choose who they like, but she can't. Her fiancé can be doomed from her birth. Why? Moreover, Dai Muabai's character was so bad that he was soaked in flowers everywhere, and even left her aside to escape alone. Why should such a person marry him? But what if it is not like this? Dai Zhu's family has been married for generations, and her mind will not change because of her. Moreover, Dai Muabai was still a prince, and his marriage represented the dignity of the royal family. How could she resist? I can help you. Su Ran whispered, looking at Zhu Zuking. At this time, he only has a strong desire to protect Zhu Qing. He knew that the girl in front of him had to bear too much alone. You don't need to care about my affairs. You won't use it to find me in the future. I also have my own actual teacher. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com doesn't need you to accompany me to learn. Zhu Zuking said, with a hint of water in his eyes. Fog. Her fate has long been doomed and will never change. She could feel that Su Ran might have such thoughts about her, but she would not accept it, let alone drag Su Ran into the water. Su Ran doesn't know the relationship between Dai Zhu and Zhu's family. He still doesn't understand what kind of danger he will face if he gets involved. She will not allow herself to injure others. For so many years, even the sister who has been caring about her doesn't like her anymore. Only the guy drinking water knows it's cold or hot. The grievance she suffered in the family is only known to her. No one spoke with her, and no one listened to her. But it's all right now, Su Ran is here. She knew that someone was still caring about her, it was enough. Nothing else matters, and she won't let Su Ran's feelings for herself continue to develop. Only in this way can his safety be protected. Let's end today's discussion. I'll go first, and you won't come to me again in the future. Zhu Zuking said, running towards the distance, tears welling in her eyes. She was like this in Zhu's family, always alone. Even if someone really wants to be nice to her, she will take the initiative to keep a distance from them. She doesn't want to hurt people who are good to her, even if not at all. Su Ran looked at Zhu Zuking's back and couldn't help sighing. He knows that Zhu Zuking's heart is very disturbed now, and it is impossible to accept him for the time being. But he didn't expect to catch up with Zuking so soon. It will be a long time afterwards, and Zuking will belong to him in the morning and evening. Watching Zhu Zuking gradually walk away, Su Ran also left the square straight away. He knew that only if he really proved his strength and proved that he could protect her well, Zhu Zuking would not reject him. Then she would be willing to come closer to him. Soon after Su Ran left, Zhu Ping, the head of the Zhu family, and all the three elders hurriedly came to the square. Their eyes were anxious and a little excited. They heard the news that another genius appeared in the Zhu family. Moreover, the talent of this genius was extremely strong, and he had already broken through the Soul Sovereign. The person they want to find is naturally Su Ran. When they heard the report from their subordinates, they hurried over, but they came a step late. Su Ran had already left at this time, and only the Zhu family disciples who were still discussing in the square were left. Zhu proudly listened to the comments of countless disciples in the square, and couldn't help frowning. Su Ran is a genius. He has already broken through the Soul Sovereign at a young age. Such a talent is definitely a good seed in the Zhu family. With a little training, there will be another contra-level powerhouse in their Zhu family in the future. It's just that Su Ran actually has a bad heart for his daughter. This made him a little dissatisfied. No matter what kind of genius, he can't destroy the friendship between Dai and Zhu's family. The two families of Dai Zhu have been married for generations, and he cannot be changed as the head of the Zhu family, let alone an ordinary disciple. Want to be with Zuking, unless it is a taboo genius. In order to keep that level of genius, he will find a way to deal with it. Geniuses at other levels do not have this qualification. Su Ran unexpectedly has something to do with Zhu Qing. If it reaches the Dai family's ears and the Dai family investigates it, what should we do? Although Su Ran's talent is good, his temperament needs to be tempered. At least he can no longer have anything to do with the second lady in the future. The second elder said, listening to the surrounding voices, his eyes became cold. The Zhu family and the Dai family will benefit both, but the division will hurt both. The two of Dai and Zhu possess martial arts fusion skills, and only when the two are combined can they have a place on the mainland. Although their marriage method is too harsh, even brothers and sisters cannibalize each other. But there is nothing wrong with this, only in this way can we cultivate the most outstanding juniors. The Dai Zhu family can last forever. This is the rule that the Dai and Zhu family have followed for thousands of years. No one can violate it, not even the elders like them. Oh, Zhu Qing, this lady, the third elder couldn't help sighing. He couldn't bear Zhu Zuking's future outcome. But even if he can't bear it anymore, the rules are the rules. The rules cannot be changed unless there is an absolute genius or strong person to break the rules. But such a genius hasn't appeared in the Zhu family for a long, long time. Their ancestors of the Zhu family and the ancestor of the Dai family were once titled Douluo, and together they founded the Star Luo Empire. But since then, it has been difficult for the Zhu family to reappear a decent powerhouse. The Zhu family is a military and political family, and compared with the pure cultivation families of the Tiandu Empire, it is still a lot worse. Since you are in politics, it is inevitable that you will be slack in your cultivation. Although Su Ran is a genius and is valued by them, he is only an ordinary genius after all. He may not even be a martial soul, so how can he expect him to be too good? Even the main line of the Zhu family failed to show a peerless genius, how could it be possible to have a collateral relationship? Proud, I know you have resentment in your heart. It feels uncomfortable to look at your own flesh and blood. But this is the case of the Zhu family. Even we can't stay outside the rules. The second elder said, patted Zhu Proud on the shoulder. The patriarchs of the Zhu family will face these in the past, but in the end they will understand that the interests of the family are the most important. Well, I know it all. Zhu proudly smiled bitterly. At this moment, his back seemed to be much older. Sitting in this position, no one knew how helpless and painful he was. There are some things he doesn't want to do, but he has to do it. By the way, Great Elder, what age is Su Ran on Earth? Zhu Pride suddenly turned around and asked. Only by knowing Su Ran's age, based on his cultivation base and strength, can he determine how strong his talent is. Su Ran has never returned to the family before, and they do not know Su Ran's situation. At this time, the Great Elder was reading Su Ran's information with the genealogy. Zhu Pride was a little confused. The Great Elder had been standing there for a long time, his body motionless as if he had froze. His expression is even more strange, as if something incredible has happened. The other two elders listened to Zhu Pride's voice and looked at the elder in doubt. Hey! The elder sighed, his old face glowing with a red light of excitement. From today, all the dark guards will be deployed to protect Su Ran's safety. If Su Ran loses a little bit, I am afraid I will be ashamed of the ancestors." The elder said with a trembling voice, with deep excitement in his heart. "How many years has it been? How many years have they seen a peerless genius in the Zhu family? The world knows the 7 major sects, which are the Zhu family, but their reputation in the Soul Master world is not as good as the next 4. However, from now on, their Zhu family will surely rise, and may even surpass the Dai family. Because their Zhu family has a real dragon, Su Ran. Dark Guard." Zhu Chengrong and the 2 elders exclaimed together. Zhu's secret guard, more than 10 people, each of them has the strength of the Soul Emperor and even the Soul Sage. These secret guards are responsible for carrying out various actions of the Zhu family, and then secretly protecting the safety of important figures in the Zhu family. The Dark Guards have a high status in the Zhu family. Even the Patriarch Zhu Pride has only 2 strong guards from the Dark Guards. But what did the Great Elder just say now? All the Dark Guards are dispatched? Just to protect Su Ran? Is this a joke? Elder, what do you mean? Is Su Ran's talent very high? Zhu asked proudly and respectfully, looking at the old man beside him. The Great Elder is the strongest of the Zhu family, the strength of the 89th level Contra. Such a strong has seen countless ups and downs in his life, but why is he showing such an abnormal look now? Is Su Ran really a peerless genius? Look at it for yourself, and then make a decision. The elder smiled, and handed the genealogy list to Zhu Zhengxing. He couldn't help tears. As the second commander of the Star Luo Empire, the Zhu family didn't even have a title Douluo. But there will be in the future. 12-year-old Soul Venerable, this kind of genius, was born in their Zhu family. Zhu Pride and the 2 elders held the roster, and soon showed the same expression as the elder. Also transfer the secret guards who are staying by my side, and we must protect Su Ran's safety. Zhu Pride took a deep breath, and then said firmly, without hesitation. At the moment when he knew Su Ran's talent, all the thoughts in his heart disappeared. He only knows that this kind of genius has to make every effort to win. In the future, we must never offend Su Ran. Su Ran is just a collateral child. He has always been practicing outside before. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com doesn't have that deep affection for the family. The 2 elders also said, and they looked at each other. After a glance, he reminded of the relationship between Su Ran and Zhu Zuqing. It's not impossible for Su Ran and Zhu Qing to be together. If we can have such a genius in the Zhu family, it would be better than always relying on others. The elder reminded timely. No matter how good the relationship between Dai and Zhu's family is, the martial arts fusion skill is also dominated by the surname Dai. The women of the Zhu family are very talented. If they marry the Dai family, they will also belong to the Dai family. Their Zhu family has always suffered a blood loss. Only the daughter of the Zhu family will marry, but the prince of the Dai family will not be married. The geniuses of their Zhu family all made wedding dresses for the Dai family, and they have always been trading at a loss. When he was young, he liked the eldest lady of the Zhu family at that time, and the eldest lady also liked him. But he could only watch the woman he likes being held in his arms by the prince, playing fiercely. His life is already a tragedy, and he does not want the tragedy to happen again. And with Su Ran's talent, if they break through title Douluo in the future, the status of their Zhu family in the mainland will rise. The Ning family, Tang family, and Yu family of the Zhu family and the Tiandu Empire are different. The Zhu family and the Dai family control the Star Luo Empire. They have in their hands powerful military and political resources that other families do not have. If the Zhu family came out of a titled Douluo, with the powerful army in their hands and the friendship with various officials, the Zhu family would have power in the field, and it would be on the same level as the Dai family. This is what they care about most. Su Ran can seek more benefits for the Zhu family, and they will naturally do their best to win over Su Ran, even if it is the marriage of the Dai Zhu family that they have always valued. Between families, there are no eternal friends, only eternal interests. When Su Ran can bring greater benefits, even if it is the relationship between Dai and Zhu's family, they will not hesitate. Oh, cultivation is so boring, there is no beautiful young lady. Su Ran sighed, practicing soul skills in the outskirts of Douluo city. He is now able to skillfully use his soul abilities. His second spirit ability Xing Yin was able to conceal his aura and merge with the surrounding void in a short time. And in the starry night, the effect is more obvious. His martial spirit is already very strong, but with this hidden spirit ability, killing people is invisible. If it is the twin soul ability linkage, Su Ran feels that even the soul sect is not his opponent. After all, your opponent suddenly disappeared, and then suddenly appeared with a powerful move. Not many people can react. And the third spirit ability, Sword Chi, is a group spirit ability within the range, capable of releasing countless sword chi. It is a large-scale attacking spirit ability. Su Ran explored his soul skills clearly, and began to feel a little bored. He didn't like to fight and kill, he came to this plane to chase many beautiful girls, and then live a happy life. The host brother can go chasing Zhu Zuqing now. Anyway, with the host's talent, if any requirements are made, the Zhu family will try their best to meet them. Even if those requirements are made, the Zhu family may agree. The system's pleasant voice sounded. What are the requirements? Su Ran's eyes lit up, pretending to be a log. Hey, shameless host, still pretending. The system lady chuckled, her pretty face flushed, and she didn't know what that meant, she was just for the host's sake. As a system, her first task is to try her best to satisfy the host and let the host do whatever she wants in the world that she travels through. By the way, host, just now why didn't you continue to strike while the iron is hot and go to Zhu Zuqing? The system can detect that she now has some different feelings about the host. The system asked. She is just a system. Although it is beautiful, it is not clear. Things between humans. You don't understand. I want to give Zuqing some time alone first. Distance produces beauty, okay? If I leave, her mood will be a little turbulent. Su Ran smiled, if she gets tired of being together every day, will not cherish it. Feelings will fade away if you leave for too long. The state of detachment can make people want to stop. The host is amazing. The system lady smiled. She doesn't understand very well, but she always feels so good. By the way, can you transform the system into a human form? Su Ran showed a meaningful smile. He has always been a little curious. The system lady is so smart, it should be able to transform into a human form, right? And the voice of the system lady is very good, if she turns into a human form, she may also be a stunning beauty. Is at least fair and beautiful with long legs. It's okay. But it takes 10,000 skill points to show up, and 100,000 skill points can transform into a human form. The existence of the system is to serve the host. If it is transformed into a human form, it can better serve the host. Moreover, the strength of this system is also very strong. If it is transformed, it can also protect the host. The voice of the system came, carrying the tone of temptation. In the system space, she was wearing a light blue floral dress, standing in front of a long mirror, with her jade feet lightly tapped, and the skirt inlaid with patterns fluttered, revealing her snow-white calf. She looked at her figure and smiled with satisfaction. She is the system, she is the most beautiful. But this is a bit too expensive. It costs 10,000 skill points to look at a face, so look down. Su Ran said, he suddenly realized that he was poor and he didn't have a single skill point. Even if you complete that task, you can only get 100 skill points. 100,000 skill points are too expensive, even if he wants to transform the system lady into a human form, it will be difficult. Do not be depressed, the host. As long as the host completes the task with peace of mind, he will soon be able to accumulate enough skill points. The system reminded. That's fine, I'll take some skills with some spirit skills. Raise the spirit ring age first. If it's not good, you can still draw a lottery. Skill points are so hard to earn, you can't just spend it casually. Su Ran smirked. Said. He doesn't know what Miss System is like now. It takes 10,000 skill points to show up, so forget it. What if it's a Sister Joe? The sound is nice but it doesn't mean anything. Sister Joe's list 1 was still carrying the train overnight. No, the host brother must not be so bad. The voice of the system lady came, a little angry. She is so good looking, with a perfect figure, and her legs are so long, so the host treats her this way. When I have more skill points, I will let you transform. My strength is too low now. Su Ran stopped teasing the system. He knew that if the Miss System was transformed, he would be able to get a strong thug in the future. If there are enough points, of course he is willing. Okay, not much to say, now it's time to see Zuking. When I catch up with Zuking, I will go to see Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu is also a very good girl. And if he catches up with Xiao Wu, Tang San would be very uncomfortable. At this time, it was getting late. Zhu Zuking sat alone on a flat boulder in the back mountain, enjoying the surrounding tranquility. There was the color of insects all around, and the sound of cold wind blowing. The girl was wearing a black gauze skirt, and her long black hair shawl was blowing in the breeze. She bent her knees and hugged her legs, feeling the silence of the night alone. I don't know when to start. When she is alone, she likes to sit here and enjoy the night. It was dark and there was no one to accompany her, but she was fine alone. And she is still in a happy mood today, because she knows that someone else likes her and cares about her, that's enough. But she won't have any contact with Su Ran in the future, let alone hurt him because of herself. Su Ran's talent is very good, better than her, and his future is unlimited. He must not be dragged down by himself. Zhu Zuking's beautiful eyes looked towards the sky, the moonlight was bright, and it exuded a white halo. Looking at the moonlight, she couldn't help but feel a little lost in her heart while making up her mind. She also wanted to be happy like an ordinary girl. It's just that she can't be too selfish. She is Zhu Zuking, those things are not what she can desire. In a few months, she will go to Dai Mubai. If Dai Mubai is still like that, she will leave alone. Anyway, if she leaves this world, it won't affect anything. In this way, my sister can also be the queen of the Star Luo Empire without worrying about accidents. The Zhu family will do business as usual. As for Su Ran, she will find a beautiful girl to marry a wife and have children as usual. Su Ran quietly appeared behind Zhu Zuking, looking at the girl in front of him. At this time, the bright moonlight shone on her body, making her already white skin more radiant. Ling Long Yuzi's figure seemed a little fuller under the yellowish halo. Her long, jet black hair also glowed with bursts of fluorescence, and she looked so beautiful. But it seems hard to touch, as if this beauty disappears as soon as you touch it. Seeing this scene, Su Ran felt a little pain. He had no nasty thoughts about Zhu Zuking anymore, but just wanted to protect her and prevent her from being harmed by others. Although he is greedy for Zhu Zuking's body, he is definitely not the kind of person who just plays for fun. He wants her heart more, because she is complete in that way. A mere body, no matter how beautiful it is, it loses its meaning without a soul. What are you thinking about here alone? Su Ran walked to Zhu Zuking's side and sat down next to her. Su Ran, why are you here? Zhu Zuking was startled, and the sudden arrival of the sound shocked her. He was relieved when he saw Su Ran. I went to your room and saw that you were not there. I was a little worried about you, so I came here to look for you. Oh! Zhu Zuking felt warm. It turned out that Su Ran cared about her so much and worried about her safety so much. It's just that they are destined to be strangers. They can't have any good results, so let's stay away from each other. Su Ran, don't come to me in the future. You are not allowed to like me, your talent is very strong, and you will meet many beautiful girls in the future, so don't waste time on me, it's not worth it. Zhu Zuqing Lo, he raised his head and said softly. Whether it's worth it, you don't count it, I say it. Su Ran looked at the girl next to her. Her skirt was a little thin. Sitting like this, her snow-white calves were bare. The rustling wind blew on her body, making her look a bit cold. Su Ran did not hesitate, took off his coat and tied it to Zhu Zuqing's exposed calf. From now on, you will not be allowed to wear skirts at night. Even if you wear them, you can only wear long skirts. The weather is so cold, you will get sick easily. Oh! Zhu Zuqing blushed, his two jade hands were twisted together, a little at a loss. She has rarely been cared for so much, let alone of the opposite sex, which makes her feel a little embarrassed. She wanted to refute in her heart, he was not someone to her, so why she wanted to listen to her. But I couldn't say what I said to my lips. Su Ran cares about her very much, and she also enjoys this feeling of being cared for. Su Ran, you are so good to me, what do you want? I may not be able to give you what you want. Zhu Zuqing raised her beautiful eyes and looked directly at Su Ran. Is Su Ran also that kind of erotic? She hates shameless people the most in her life. Will Su Ran be such a person? But if not, why would Su Ran treat her so well? She, the second lady of the Zhu family, is a victim of family struggles in the hearts of countless people, and a dead person in the future. How can someone like her attract Su Ran's attention? All she has now is this skin bag. Su Ran came to her, maybe she only valued her face. Su Ran is no different from the men outside, just judging people by their appearance. Zhu Zuqing laughed at herself. Who else in this world really cares about her? Maybe not. I just want to make you happy, I don't want anyone to bully you, nothing more. Su Ran said lightly, with a trace of determination in his eyes. Of course Su Ran still didn't say half a word. Only he can bully her. Of course, if the husband bullies the daughter-in-law, it will not really hurt. That way he couldn't bear it either. Is that so? Zhu Zuqing's eyes flushed suddenly when he heard Su Ran's words. He turned his head and wiped away the tears from his eyes without Su Ran's attention. She couldn't help but want to cry. How many years have passed since she awakened her spirit at the age of 6, even her sister began to hate her. Her father was busy with government affairs, and everyone in the house avoided her like a plague god, and the teacher who taught her did not dare to have anything to do with her. She is the second lady of the Zhu family, she is noble, but so what? No one is optimistic about her, she will be a victim of family conflicts, and has no value. It is only her identity and blood that everyone is in awe of. If it weren't for her identity, she might have been abandoned by everyone in the family. She thought Su Ran was just a womanizer, but she was wrong, she was completely wrong, and even wrong. Su Ran is not such a person. Su Ran only wants her to be happy, and has no other requirements. But I don't deserve you to treat me like this. Zhu Zuqing said softly, turning around again to wipe the tears from his eyes. You should know that although I am a disciple of the Zhu family, I am just a sideline. I have been practicing outside alone since I was a child. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com has no affection for the Zhu family. Even with my current talent, I won't return. Zhu family, going to the martial spirit hall can also have a lot of resources, and even there I can get a little more resources. But I still came back. Because I know that someone from the Zhu family has been waiting for me. If I don't go back to find her, I will never forgive myself in this life. I will not allow the person I like to become someone else's fiancé. Su Ran said, looking at the moonlight on the horizon, there was a bit of vicissitudes and determination in his eyes. It was as real as it was, and the Miss System was stunned. If she doesn't know the situation, the decision will think that what Su Ran said is true. Similarly, Zhu Zuqing was also stunned. Su Ran originally came back to Zhu's house this time because of her. Has he liked her before? But there is no memory of Su Ran in her mind. I still remember 6 years ago when you were bullied on the streets of Douluo city. At that time, you called me brother Su Ran. From that moment on, I started to like you. It's just that I was still weak at that time. The ability to protect you. Although my strength is not strong now, I don't want to wait any longer. I'm afraid I won't have the chance any longer. Su Ran looked at Zhu Zuqing with affectionate eyes, with such innocence and determination. At this moment, Su Ran's eyes seemed to shine with a brilliant light. Under this light, everything in this world seemed to be eclipsed. At this moment, only the girl Zuqing was in his eyes. Zhu Zuqing is so beautiful, his figure is exquisite and elegant, his skin is snowy, his beautiful legs are round and slender. If such a girl is caught up, her life will be complete. And after chasing Zuqing, he can still show off in front of Daimyo Bai. For Daimyo Bai, a dead man, Zuqing suffered alone, and he took Ma Hongjun and 2 of them around Gulan. The grievances he made Zuqing bear, he will find them back little by little. Brother Su Ran. Zhu Zuqing was dumbfounded, blinking beautiful eyes, a little surprised. She looked dazed, tilted her head, looked at Su Ran, and had some doubts. When did she have a brother Su Ran? Why doesn't she remember? She thinks, is Su Ran lying to her? So you don't remember it? At the shore of Daming Lake in Douluo city, I once rescued you. At that time you called me brother Su Ran. But the age is so old, it's normal for you to not remember. Su Ran hurriedly said, ready to end this topic. He felt that he would definitely reveal himself if he continued to discuss this topic. Oh! Zhu Zuqing nodded, still a puzzled look on Qiao's face. But Zhu Zuqing didn't ask any more. 6 years ago, she was just a child. Who can remember what happened at that time? Moreover, she is not a woman with no brains. She has her own skills of knowing people. What she sees in Su Ran's eyes is all sincerity. What Su Ran said was true and didn't lie to her. Su Ran will not lie to her. Otherwise, why did he return to Zhu's house for her? Thinking of this, Zhu Zuqing felt a little guilty. Su Ran saved her, but she forgot about them. Isn't this a bit bad? If Su Ran knew, would he be disappointed? Then can I hear you call me brother Su Ran again? It's been a long time since I heard you call me that. Su Ran smiled slightly and looked at Zhu Zuqing. He somewhat expected Zhu Zuqing to call him that. Even Daimyo Bai, as Zhu Zuqing's fiancé, did not receive such treatment. In the original book, Zhu Zuqing and Daimyo Bai's relationship has been very stiff. He remembered that when the relationship between Zhu Zuqing and Daimyo Bai really improved, it was Tang San who distributed the fairy grass to the 7 monsters. At that time Zhu Zuqing was also worried that Daimyo Bai would have problems absorbing the fairy grass. At that time, their strength greatly improved so that Zhu Zuqing found hope. And Daimyo Bai also formally walked out of decadence, finally defeated Davis, and then began to wash white. Even if a waste gets a treasure, it can become stronger, but waste is waste. He won't even want to get a fairy grass in this life. And when he catches Zuqing, he will go in him. Let him know what it's like for his fiancée to be spoiled in the arms of others. At that time, I can also reveal Daimyo Bai's position to Davis, and let Davis go in him. Davis didn't know that Daimyo Bai was in Soto City, but he did. Daimyo Bai fled to the Heaven Do Empire to avoid Davis. If he was exposed, he would be cold. Brother Su Ran. Zhu Zuqing looked at Su Ran's naked eyes, directly lowered his head and looked at his full chest, her lips slightly opened, and she said. She doesn't know if she ever had a brother Su Ran, but Su Ran said that if there is one, then there will be. Su Ran is very good. Although Su Ran's gaze is sometimes shameless and always likes to look at those places, she does not hate Su Ran for some reason. Especially knowing that he came to the Zhu family for himself, and that he could even disregard the danger, her heart for Su Ran deepened a lot. In a few days, I will apply to the Patriarch to dissolve the marriage contract between you and Daimyo Bai. Daimyo Bai is not worthy of you. I will not watch you jumping into the fire pit. It doesn't matter who you like in the future, but Daimyo Bai is not good. Su Ran stood up, stroked Zhu Zuking's long hair with his palm, and said firmly. Su Ran, don't. Zhu Zuking's face changed slightly, and he hugged Su Ran's arm. If Su Ran made this request to his father, he would be killed. I won't just watch the girl I like jump into the fire pit. Even if she doesn't like me, it won't work. Su Ran said, his arm was hugged by Zhu Zuking, and he could feel a huge softness. His gaze couldn't help but glanced at Zhu Zuking's chest. You, don't look at it indiscriminately. You are not allowed to go to your father and them. I don't allow you to go. Zhu Zuking blushed, noticed Su Ran's gaze, and couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. She is so old, she naturally knows where Su Ran's gaze is. But she didn't dare to let Su Ran go. What if Su Ran was stupid and went to die? Father and several elders are so fierce, what if you know that Su Ran is interesting to her? If his father knew that Su Ran liked him, how would Su Ran be punished at that time? She couldn't imagine that kind of punishment. She didn't have to think about it, she knew it would be heavy. Zhu Zuking was a little worried, and hugged Su Ran tightly. His plump figure was attached to Su Ran's arm, which made Su Ran a little moved. Zuking's development is really very good, as in the original book, even he can only be described as huge. The figure is plump, and the snow-white legs are not particularly long, but they are round and erect. You read www.uuganshu.com is very beautiful. But Su Ran knows that in the original work, Xiao Wu's legs are the most beautiful. Xiao Wu is famous for her legs, a pair of beautiful legs, straight and erect, enough to eclipse countless women. And Xiao Wu still likes to wear tight leg pants, and can reveal all the curves of her legs, so if she catches up, she can definitely play for New Year. But Xiao Wu is not easy to follow. Zhu Qing didn't like Daimyo Bai in order to be able to chase him a little better. There was Tang San next to Xiao Wu. Brother Su Ran, please, don't go, okay? I don't want you to be injured. Zhu Zuking pleaded when he saw Su Ran had not spoken. She doesn't know if she has other feelings for Su Ran. But she knew that she couldn't let Su Ran get hurt for her own sake. Okay, I won't go for the time being. Su Ran nodded, and stretched out his hand to embrace Zhu Zuking in his arms. Zhu Qing's body is very soft, and the fragrance on his body is very good. Zhu Zuking's face blushed. Su Ran began to take advantage of her as he said, and hugged her. Didn't he know that girls can be hugged casually? It's too late today, I'll go back first. Su Ran, go back to sleep first. Zhu Zuking broke free from Su Ran's arms, blushing and ran away. Her heart couldn't help beating. She didn't know why she didn't dislike Su Ran at all, and she wouldn't feel uncomfortable even if she was held in his arms. She still holds Su Ran's clothes in her hand. Su Ran just covered her legs with this dress. Zhu Zuking hugged the clothes on her chest, and the smell belonging to Su Ran's hands rushed into her nose, making her heart beat faster. She ran to her boudoir quickly with her long legs, until Su Ran could no longer be seen in her vision, and her heart calmed down. Zhu Ping, the head of the Zhu family, and the three elders came to the hall early, and today they are a little absent-minded. The family meeting was a major event, but they have no intention of paying attention to it now. The Zhu family does not lack the soul emperor, soul sage, only people like Su Ran who have the opportunity to break through title Douluo can attract their attention. Today's family meeting, only Su Ran deserves their attention. 12-year-old and 31st level soul sovereign, such a genius has not appeared in the Star Luo Empire for hundreds of years. Now a genius of this level has appeared in their Zhu's family, and this is God's sheltering Zhu's family. Zhu Zuking is also in the main hall at this time. She is wearing a black dress with gold patterns, outlines a full body curve, and her legs are slender, standing there like a crowd of chickens. The eyes of countless people in the hall looked at her, they couldn't help being a little surprised, and a little helpless and sigh. Zhu Zuking's talent is the best in Zhu's family, better than the talent of Miss Zhu Zuyun. But her fiancé is a trash, a coward, and this has already doomed her end. Since ancient times, confidants have been so lifeless. If nothing happens, Zhu Zuking will die in the next 10 years. The eyes of these people were directly ignored by Zhu Zuking. She has become accustomed to the eyes of others looking at her for so many years. She never cared about the opinions of others, she just lived for herself. She doesn't care what other people think of her. Her beautiful eyes kept looking around, looking for Su Ran's figure. After a long time, Zhu Zuking was a little disappointed. She hadn't seen Su Ran again since that night. Su Ran seemed to have evaporated from the world. He is not even seen at the family meeting now. Is Su Ran disappointed in her? But as the two of them, how could it be possible to be together? What if she is interested in him? Do they still have the ability to resist the royal family? She didn't want to hurt Su Ran, but when Su Ran left, she still felt a little heartache. Is Su Ran leaving now? Will you come back in the future? She felt a little uneasy. Although she and Su Ran have only seen a few faces, it is undeniable that Su Ran has left a mark in her heart. Zuking, I'm late. Su Ran walked into the hall and found Zhu Zuking. Today's Zhu Zuking is obviously beautiful, wearing a long skirt, showing a small piece of white legs, so that countless people can't help but look at her secretly. Today is the day of the family meeting. He must make Patriarch Zhu Pride destroy the marriage contract between Zhu Zuking and Dai Mubai. At that time he had the opportunity to make that request. With his talent, maybe Zhu Pride will betroth Zuking to him. Su Ran, you are finally here. I thought you weren't coming to attend the family meeting today. Zhu Zuking suddenly raised her head. When she heard Su Ran's voice again, she felt uncontrollable joy in her heart. She looked at Su Ran's face and let out a long sigh of relief. It was obvious that she had been thinking a lot before. Su Ran is so good, how could he be angry with her? Your clothes, I have washed them. Zhu Zuking came to Su Ran and handed Su Ran the clothes he was holding in his arms. Thank you, Bamboo is so good, so capable, whoever marries home in the future will be blessed. Su Ran put the clothes in his hands and said with a smile. Zuking is so capable, if she is with Zuking in the future, will she become more capable? He couldn't help but look forward to it. Zhu Qing is the kind of girl who likes to give silently behind her back, a kind wife and a good mother. No nonsense. Zhu Zuking blushed pretty and couldn't help but punch Su Ran, but it didn't hurt, it looked like a little girl was acting like a baby. The side that Zhu Zuking showed suddenly surprised everyone present. Who is this person? Why are you walking so close to the second lady? And the second lady just held his clothes in her hand. What's the matter? Is it? Countless disciples couldn't help but have a bold guess, return the clothes? Could it be that Su Ran and Zhu Zuking have done it? Otherwise, do I need any clothes? Countless people began to think about it. At the same time, they are still a bit dissatisfied. Who is Su Ran? They have never heard of this name. Why can he be so close to Zhu Zuking? And Zhu Zuking seems to have some good feelings for him. I'm giving a Zhu order, a 28th level soul master, come to ask for advice. A young man in a black costume walked straight to Su Ran, his tone full of disdain. Even if he could not chase Zhu Zuking, he could not allow her to be chased by other men. A woman like Zhu Zuking is all over her country and her talent is so good. What is Su Ran? Zhu Ling's voice attracted the attention of the people present, and Zhu Pride and the three elders also projected their gazes, watching this scene with great interest. They are also very curious about Su Ran's strength. 12-year-old soul venerable, his cultivation speed is very fast. But what about strength? Cultivation level and strength cannot be equated. It's you? I'm afraid it's not enough. Su Ran said lightly. I was afraid that I would dare not go soaking up a girl, and others would be jealous when they chase him. Such a person is too shameless. Hey, arrogant. If you lose, stay away from Miss Zuking. Zhu Ling said, directly releasing Wu Hun, the ghost cat. The 28th level of spirit power fluctuations were revealed, causing many disciples in the hall to nod their heads. After all, they are all young people here. Zhu Ling is only 16 years old. It is quite satisfactory to have this strength. Zhu Ling released Wu Hun, but Su Ran still stood motionless, still looking calm and calm. Such an action directly angered Zhu Ling. He saw a trace of contempt and disregard in Su Ran's eyes, and his heart was immediately very angry. A collateral child dare to ignore him? The Zhu family's children around them laughed directly when they saw Su Ran's behavior. What kind of cultivation is Zhu Ling? Su Ran still dare to pretend? Even if Wu Hun is not released, Su Ran will not be Zhu Ling's opponent no matter how strong. Su Ran just wanted to pretend to be in front of the second lady. He doesn't even look at what Zhu Ling's cultivation base is. The 28th level cultivation base is considered very strong among the younger generation of Zhu's family. If Su Ran can beat Zhu Ling, I will chop thee on the spot. Many disciples talked about it, and there was even a big one who gave out cruel words. However, the group of people who had seen Su Ran's strength in the square before did not speak, and watched the good show with great interest. Hearing many comments, Zhu Ling immediately burst into confidence, and sneered towards Su Ran. He released his second spirit ability in an instant, ready to let Su Ran know how strong the disciple of the main line is. The collateral disciple doesn't even possess the family martial arts soul, so he dare to make the second lady? The courage is really not small. In his opinion, if he can defeat Su Ran, he might be able to attract Zhu Zuking. Although he dare not get involved with Zhu Zuking, it is also a bragging capital to have such a beautiful woman who likes himself. But soon, his illusion was directly shattered. Boom! A huge roar sounded. Before Zhu Ling could get close to Su Ran's body, he flew upside down and fell a few meters away. And Su Ran didn't even release Wu Hun. Su Ran has only two movements, drawing and closing the sword. The two movements are clean and neat, completed in 1 second, without any muddle. In this scene, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com made the disciples present directly dumbfounded. Even Patriarch Zhu Pride, the three elders looked in a trance, looking at Su Ran in surprise. A 28th level Great Soul Master still lost in seconds without Su Ran releasing his martial soul. Is this serious? Zhu Ling was lying on the ground and curling up in pain. He couldn't help feeling a little surprised. He didn't expect Su Ran to be so strong. The power of that sword was too terrifying, not to mention him, all the people below the Soul Sovereign in the hall would definitely not be able to hold it. How strong should Su Ran be? Soul sect? Otherwise, how could it be so strong without a martial spirit? Will you accept it? Su Ran looked at Zhu Ling and said lightly. This was also his first actual combat, and the martial soul bestowed on him by the system was obviously truly invincible. He had a hunch that even though he was just the Soul Sovereign, even the Soul King could barely fight with all his energies. Take it, take it. Really take it, brother, Zhu Ling nodded frantically, shivering as he looked at the dark sword in Su Ran's hand. If Su Ran released the martial soul, he was afraid that he would be split in half with the sword just now. The other disciples around saw this scene, as if they also shuddered, and once again looked at Su Ran with a trace of respect in their eyes. In this world, the strong can gain respect and everything. Su Ran is so strong, much stronger than I thought. Zhu Zuking couldn't help but said in surprise, a smile appeared on the cold and pretty face. Su Ran's strength is much stronger than she imagined. With this move, Su Ran's true strength can at least match the Soul sect. Su Ran is still so young now, such a teenager should be regarded as the top genius in the mainland. Su Ran's future will be limitless, and he even has a chance to become a title Douluo.